Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. I'm joined by my co-host, Gary VanSickle, who's going to introduce a special guest. Take it away, Gary.
Thanks, Kathy. We've got a guy who has done it all in golf, and I really mean that. I mean, he plays golf. He's had hole-in-ones. He's managed a golf equipment store, Senior Player of the Year. He's created his own golf radio network. A man of many skills, but master of few, Chuck Garbedian.
Hello, everybody. How are ya?
Just fine. Great to have you on, Chuck.
Wonderful to be here. I'm looking forward to whatever the green room has, and also my bag of swag that comes with being on the program.
Just go up, stand by your mailbox, and just wait. Oh, it's coming anytime now.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, we wanted to talk with you about LIV golf because that seems to be sucking the air out of everything in golf right now. Nobody else can get a headline. LIV golf is just a topic we can't turn away from. What are your thoughts about LIV golf in general and how their first three events have gone?
Well, more than anything else, it's about the money, isn't it? I mean, that's what they've made this whole thing out to be, is about the money, and that's great. That's what more people want to see, is millionaire golfers making more money. That grows the game in so many ways I can't begin to tell you. It would be better if LIV golf would fly some sort of a jet over the country and just start throwing billions of dollars out the jet so people could go, hey, look, there's money falling from the sky. It's fascinating to a point. It's interesting, and I don't know if anybody else has seen this. If you look at Phil Mickelson right now, he looks like Hulk Hogan when Hulk Hogan went to Hollywood Hulk Hogan, when he went all dark and had the bleach mustache. He has that kind of like villainous look, like he's just turned a different page. He doesn't seem like a happy-go-lucky, hey, I got calves and I'm giving thumbs up. It's not that whole thing anymore. You know, also, and this is a little insight, but remember Ryderman, T.R. Ryderman, the guy who was his guy? I haven't heard or seen from him. And usually whenever you saw Phil, that's who you saw. And I've been looking in like background shots just to see who's in the background. It's
T.R. retired.
To watch all this.
T.R. retired.
Well, T.R. retired, and I heard he's I hate to talk out of school, but I heard he's got Alzheimer's dementia, and he's been hospitalized for quite a while.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and that's a shame. But going back to the LIV stuff, it's all about the money. If you don't have it and you want some, this is a way to do it. I don't begrudge you guys if this is what they want to do, but don't tell me that you're trying to grow the game, because I haven't seen one thing that shows me that they're growing the game. It's a 54-hole outing, a shotgun start. We do that at our place all the time.
That's right. I agree with you 100%. I call them exhibitions, because to me it's not real golf. I mean, to them maybe it's real golf. And I did check in on the tournament over the weekend just to see that Henrik Stenson was leading. I don't know if he won or not, but Phil was like 13 over par. I mean, that just doesn't even make sense. They get this amount of money and they don't really even have to try anymore. They just show up and play some hit and giggle golf and sign some autographs and go back home and wait for the next one.
But isn't that what made golf great, was the fact that if you made the cut, you made money. And that was the thing, is the effort you put in. And it doesn't, it's, I find golf a perfect microcosm of life. Is sometimes you will put in the effort, you'll make all the changes you have to make, and sometimes it doesn't work out and you got to figure out a different way. And that's kind of the beauty of it. Hogan didn't win most of his majors until after the accident. In 53, he had one of the greatest years of all time. He entered 6 tournaments, won 5, and 3 of them were majors. It wasn't because somebody gave it to him. It's because he went out and earned it. It's hard to watch sometimes. Stenson did win, made $4 million. Great. Happy for you. That's great. But you also signed a deal to be the Ryder Cup captain, and with that came certain caveats, and you violated those when you decided you want to go take all the money from LIV. It's going to be fascinating to see how this goes forward. Unfortunately, it's probably going to end up in court, and then from there it's going to be everybody will weigh in. CNN, MSNBC, ESPN, any of the alphabet networks will weigh in and say what this whole thing is all about. It's always been about money, first and foremost, and after that, it's about the Saudi family behind it.
And yet the fans at these places, when you watch the telecast, the LIV Golf slogan is golf but louder.
But louder, yeah.
There are enthusiastic and all that, and Taylor Gooch said it's like a Ryder Cup atmosphere. Not that he'd know, it's not, because there's not nearly enough people, but I think the point is there is some enthusiasm among the fans who were there. I'm seeing more comments online, people saying, I actually like this better than PGA Tour golf as a viewer. A couple of them came from Mark Lai and Hank Haney, who
are outliers
by the PGA Tour.
Right.
And I think it was Jim McLean or somebody else brought up the fact that why is the mainstream media so anti-LIV? They somehow think, we're all in on the take or something, but anybody on TV obviously is basically a business partner of the PGA Tour. So you're never going to hear anything critical of LIV on Golf Channel, unless it's an accident. They had Barkley on one time, and he was saying something nice about LIV Golf, and suddenly they had to go to a commercial, and they cut him off.
Yep,
so
they did.
I think there is a thing. The media is pretty anti-LIV Golf, and I don't think it's that. Not that big of a deal to get worked up about. It's interesting, but it's like the World Golf Championships with the limited field and no cut. I'm with you, Chuck. No cut takes some of the air out of it. You're here making a check. Yeah. It's an appearance fee, and that's what makes it a little tougher to watch for me.
It's ironic about it. If it's 54 holes, then Norman would have won his Masters if they had just not played on Sunday.
Maybe that.
He would have won the Grand Slam. He had the Saturday Slam. He'd
go down in the annals of time as one of the greatest golfers of all time. Can't wait for the LIV Slam.
What's our next LIV topic, Gary?
Well, do you think, if you look at the past sports leagues that have had rivals, whether it's auto racing or ABA and NBA, you've got an ABA shirt on right now, as a matter of fact, NFL, AFL. Everybody was against these new groups when they started, and they wind up finding a way to coexist and merge and become better. Also, I left out tennis. That's another one.
Yeah.
Do you think that can happen here, or are these guys just have completely different goals?
Well, I think it depends on how deeply the line is drawn in the sand. If it's just a cursory line and it's just on the top and it's just superficial, I think they can figure out a way to get along. I don't know. It's going to be hard because LIV's format is so different and the money is so different, and where the money is coming from is so different. I always found one of the interesting tenets about the PGA Tour is every community they go into, the money goes to charity in that area. In Wisconsin, it's Steve Stricker's event with the PGA Tour champions. They're going to probably clear $3 million in donations to the area that they would not ordinarily have, and that's something that the PGA Tour does really well. Can things be done better with the PGA Tour? Sure. Has LIV kind of accentuated that? Probably, possibly. It just depends on what direction you want to go with it. I think in the long run, it's going to end up in litigation, and there's going to have to be some kind of. Each side is going to have to give something. It just depends on who gives what and how much of it is dependent upon where you stand with each side and how much corporate America is behind either one of them.
Well, hey, Kathy,
corporate America is going to take a stance. Go ahead. What?
Do you like the team aspect of this thing, and where's that headed?
I think it's okay.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's kind of gimmicky to me. I don't really follow it. I don't know who's on what team. The team name thing is really kind of hokey. I know in the merchandise trailer at Bedminster they had like team T-shirts and hats for that, which is like that'll be, if you go to a store and you find a USFL Generals hat somewhere, that would be like, wow, I haven't seen one of those in years. I don't know that. I don't know what they're going for. I don't know how much they are in the merchandise trailer. I don't know how much anybody wants one of those things, but it'll be fascinating to see if the team concept goes. The PGA Tour does it in New Orleans where they have the two-man team thing, which is kind of a cool thing. And again, it's something kind of like Scottsdale where you have it once in a while with the 16th hole. That's kind of cool. You see it every day. You're kind of like going, okay, what is this? And then you watch a guy like, what was it? It was either Patrick Reed or who was the other one? One of the other guys, and they didn't play exceptionally well, but they still made $750,000 because they finished with the team really well. And that's great if you're part of that team, but what does that do for casual golfers who are watching this?
I think it's hard enough for people to pay attention and know golfers in general, because most people who are casual golf viewers are not going to be familiar with all of the players on the PGA Tour, much less all of these people from different tours who have been brought into LIV, and then to plunk them into a team and expect people to follow that, I think is ridiculous. That's just expecting too much from the fans. That's just my opinion.
Kathy, we were talking the other day about this idea to franchise the team and sell them to owners. And
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how that will work, but that could be part of their money making, their long-term money making plan.
But going
to an article I
forward,
read in Golf Digest, it is part of their money making plans. So these guys have gone from being independent contractors to being sold as property. I don't think that's a step up, but that's just my opinion.
Well, and the other thing going forward is going to be how does this work in the gambling vernacular? Because gambling is becoming incredibly huge, and how do you handicap a LIV event against a PGA Tour event? You have a history of stats and performance. What are you going to do with Taylor Gooch? Taylor, I got Taylor Gooch to shoot what? I mean, Patrick Reed's going to shoot what? It's just a whole question of who are these guys and how am I betting on these guys? Because that's going to be the next thing that's going to happen is if there's going to be money involved, someone's going to figure out a way to make money off of these guys gambling.
Oh yeah, I could have bet there's odds on them already. I could have bet. I wound up betting on Cameron Young this week to win the Rocket Mortgage and Tony Finau. I should have bet him apparently.
Yes.
But there were odds. There were odds for the LIV tournament too. I could bet that. So they're already in there, which I think might be a big part of their survival.
Well, it's going to be one of the things that's going to get them noticed is if somebody, did you have Henrik Stenson to win the LIV golf event in Bedminster? I mean, what's going to happen? And they're going to have one in the Midwest out at Conway Farms, which will be really interesting to see how it turns out there. Chicago has always been kind of an iffy market for the PGA Tour. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of attendance they get there. But it's my understanding at Bedminster on secondary markets, you could have bought a pass for $2 to go in, and they still didn't have anybody there.
Yeah, well, they've said they've wanted to limit crowds for some reason, but yet they're still trying to sell these high-priced tickets with perks and all that.
How do you grow the game if you're limiting crowds?
I don't know.
Don't you want more people there? Wouldn't you want to have some sort of a thing on the range, or you have some sort of an exhibition and do something? I mean, long drive contest or chipping contest, or maybe they bring out drive, chip, and putt for the pros. Maybe that's what they do out there.
Yeah.
They're just trying to sell the teams to other people.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gary.
The fans are part of the atmosphere, and we saw that during the pandemic when those tournaments didn't have fans.
Oh yeah,
those things were unwatchable.
Yeah,
and you don't really realize how important the fans are until you don't have any.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, look, Luke Donald's now the Ryder Cup captain, replacing Stenson, who got sacked. Do you think we're really going to go ahead with this? Do you think these LIV guys are not going to be part of the Ryder Cup or even be a vice captain? You think that's going to happen? Or are they going to figure something out before that?
Well, I think they're going to figure something out before that, but for the time being, I'm going to say that anybody who's involved with LIV Golf is not going to be a member of a Ryder Cup or President's Cup or any kind of international team at all, simply because it can't happen. You're not a member of any tour anymore. You're a member of LIV Golf, and LIV Golf isn't recognized as a viable entity. So I don't see how they can. I find it fascinating that Stenson was surprised by the fact that he was sacked, but at the same token, it's like you'd signed a contract to do this, and now you're doing something else with a group that isn't aligned with us. And it's like, okay, you decided to go across the street and do something else. That's great. Then go do that. And I think that's the thing just touching back on what you were talking about with the media, I think that's the thing that really annoys people more than anything else is, look, if you're going to go do this, then go do it. If this is what you want to go do, no one's going to keep you from doing what you want to go do. It's a free country. But if this is what you want to go do, then go do it. Don't come back and go, well, I want to do this too. Okay. How do you do both? Yeah, I don't know that you can do both. I don't know that you can support both. If you're a Ford guy, you're a Ford guy. If you're a Chevy guy, you're a Chevy guy. That's kind of the way it works. And you're Ford or GM or Chrysler or Mopar or whatever it is, that's what you are because that's what you really like. You can go, yeah, they make good stuff and it's good things, but when the bashing started coming back and forth, you saw the PGA Tour getting stuff taken right out of their mouths. They didn't like that. They have to respond to that. I would imagine, as we all know, the PGA Tour has a lot of lawyers on staff, and they're probably looking at all aspects of this. But going forward, I don't see, if you're involved with LIV, for right now at this particular moment in time, I don't see how you can be associated with the Ryder Cup, the President's Cup, or any type of international competition.
I agree with Chuck on that. Zach Johnson was on record saying you have to be a member of the PGA of America, and the way you get your membership in the PGA of America is being a member of the PGA Tour.
Right.
And he didn't say anything more, and he said, and I'm not changing my view on this.
Right.
So out of there.
I think it was Will Zalatoris who was having just a torrid season, hadn't become a member of the PGA Tour yet. Everybody's like, well, he should be on the team. He can't be on the team because he's not a member of the PGA Tour yet. He hadn't gained status yet. And yet he's one of the hottest players on the planet. And it's kind of like, it didn't make sense when Palmer was denied an opportunity to be in a Ryder Cup because he wasn't a member of the PGA of America yet because he hadn't gotten to whatever status he needed to get to. And that didn't make sense, and they redid it. I think it's going to come to a point where they're going to have to redo something at some point, but everybody's going to have to agree, and I don't know necessarily that everybody's going to agree at any one point with this.
That happened to Paul Azinger also, believe it or not.
Early on. Nicklaus wasn't on a Ryder Cup until he was, like 26 or 27? Right. I mean, he missed like 3 of them early in his career. Okay. Azinger said something about, I couldn't be in the Ryder Cup because – I didn't officially know how to fold socks correctly. Right, in the shop. Yeah. Look, there's an art and a talent to folding the socks. I got to tell you that. Having done it a couple hundred years, it's a gift, really. What about the TV and the world ranking points? Do you think LIV Golf needs a TV network? Because I don't know who's going to take them. Certainly nobody who's a partner with the PGA Tour. And without the world ranking points, anybody who wants – these guys are going to drop like stones in the world rankings unless they can work out some kind of a deal. I don't see them getting world ranking points.
I don't see how that happens. How do you rank somebody who's? I mean, some of these guys are playing 1 week and then they're gone the next week, and I think they're going to continue to shuffle teams here for a while. I don't know if the 4 people that are on Phil Mickelson's team. I mean, one of them's a 15-year-old amateur. Is that guy staying for next year? I mean, how does that kind of stuff just go? What? Who are these people and what are they doing and why are they with LIV? I mean, how can a 15-year-old amateur all of us? I guess he can be a professional if he wants to. But
I think one of the interesting tenets to all this is LIV has offered more questions than answers. And when you try to speak to somebody about what's going on, there's a vitriol that goes with it that people are just really amped up about the whole thing. And it's fascinating to watch. They need world golf ranking points more than anything else because that's how you get into any kind of an event. And it's going to be interesting to see what Fred Ridley has to say when Augusta rolls around, because that's going to be the first bell ringer right there. If Augusta goes no, everybody else is going to go no, and that's just the way it's going to work out. And it's interesting that it's Ridley because Ridley's been a career amateur his entire life, and it has an interesting viewpoint on the game of golf.
Their criteria now are winners of certain tournaments, which have been on the PGA Tour, and some that have been on the European Tour. And winners of certain amateur events. And if they just stick with that and the world rankings, they don't have to make a change. And they can just wait until these guys roll off the world rankings and there's no controversy. So they haven't changed what they're doing. They just stay with what they have.
It would be hard for them to get world. It would be hard for them to get world ranking points because it's a 54-hole event and it's a start that's a shotgun start. Which
and they have no cut. They have no cut.
Right, and there's no cut. There's no consequence to whatever you do.
Qualifying. Yeah. They fail on all 3. There's no cut. There's no qualifying, and it's only 54 holes. And I don't see how they can make an exception for that.
And especially not for an entire league. It might come up occasionally that there might be a tournament that's shortened to 54 holes, and it's whatever, it's taken differently. But the problem with it is the entire thing is based upon 54 holes. There's no cut. And by the way, you're starting on hole number 3. It would be great to see Tiger walk across the Silicon Bridge halfway through his round and then finish on number 7 somewhere. And he just walks off the golf course. I mean, it's a weird dynamic that goes all the way around.
Well, regardless of where the money comes from and the vitriol and all that, how about just what's it like watching the telecast, which is online? The actual product, is the product enjoyable, or I find it confusing watching. I know they have all these graphics and show you where everybody is and 6 holes to go, 4 holes to go, which is kind of an interesting thing, which they had to start. But how do you feel about just the product? Is it watchable? Is it better than the PGA Tour? Is it not as good?
I don't think it's better than the PGA Tour. I think they have some interesting tenets, like when Fox got into golf and decided to do the U.S. Open, they decided to do some things differently, which is great. I think Shot Tracer is great because that was a technology that had to be developed that kind of came out of hockey and football with the first down line. there are some things that have to be done. Obviously, when you're watching golf, that can be done differently, done better. I think graphics on the screen are good to a certain extent, depending on what they are and what they're trying to reflect. I think you're right in what LIV had to do is they had to do it that way because you had to know where people were on the golf course. Because if you put hole 15, it doesn't matter if they're on hole 15. If they started on 14, they're only one hole into the round, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't know it from the start. How would you follow that? You got to try to figure out how this whole thing works. So I think some of the tenets that they have are fascinating to it, but at other times it's been extremely confusing. I have no problem with Faraday going over because I don't know that NBC was using them correctly or properly or kind of cut off the show. I think McCord would be great doing this because he's a wild card and he's in his 70s and wants to have a little fun. They want to pay him the money. That's great. The one I was surprised with was early on Jerry Foltz bolting Golf Channel for that. And I'm sure doing the women's tour, he wasn't getting a fortune from Golf Channel, wasn't being paid a fortune from Golf Channel. And I'm sure these guys walked in and said, here's what we want you to do. He's looking at, I can see certain things where this makes sense. And there are other things where it doesn't make any. If you're Foltz or you're Faraday or McCord, you're going, yeah, I can take the money and do the same thing. It's golf. I'm calling golf. It's the same thing I've always done. From a player standpoint, it's way different because you're not playing nearly as much golf. You're not playing good golf. And you certainly aren't going to be playing majors, it doesn't look like anytime soon.
Well, we don't know. The PGA Championship would have taken Phil. They said he qualified. He could go.
Did they really, though? I mean, did that really? Yeah. I know that's what they said. But what I think is interesting about Phil is we got to experience him here in Wisconsin for the Ryder Cup. And he was, no one really talked about Phil and Amy were walking around arm in arm and the whole thing. It was just kind of a weird vibe. And then the weird thing is that after the Ryder Cup, they didn't really talk about Phil a whole lot. So it's interesting that there are a lot of guys who are on LIV right now. Phil was there the entire weekend with a lot of these guys, both European and American. So I just kind of wonder what happened with, if there were conversations going on, just out of curiosity, because he was there, they were there, nobody said anything about anything that was going on. It'd be fascinating to know, do you have all those people in the same room at the same time? Was it Colonel Mustard with the lead pipe in the observatory? I mean, there's a lot of things happening there.
Well, I think the Colonel Mustard reference means it's time to move on.
Okay.
To our next topic, which is senior moment. Once again, I've forgotten what that is. Oh, wait. No, it's Kathy Bissell is going to talk about the update in the Senior Tour performance rankings, her rankings of the Senior Tour. What's new in the rankings? Kathy Bissell.
Well, as of the Senior British Open, or the Senior Open Championship, as they like to call it, Stephen Alker leads Steve Stricker by less than a point. And following those two are Patrick Harrington and Miguel Angel Jimenez. Then Robert Carlson, Ernie Els, and Darren Clark, who moved up 4 places based on his victory.
I can't believe Jimenez is that high. It doesn't seem like he's winning much, but
he hangs around. He doesn't win a whole lot, but he's usually in top 10s all the time.
Oh, he has played well and won some, and he'll finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th a lot. So
well, hey, we've been watching the Steve Stricker, Stephen Alker duel go on for years, right, Chuck?
Oh yeah, back and forth.
No, we haven't.
It's been pretty.
It's becoming tedious, actually.
What I think is amazing is that Steve Stricker was sick for 6 months and then came out and played really well. I mean, I expected him to not do as well as he did when he showed up.
I think he kind of ran out of gas that first tournament just because it's competitive and you're playing and it takes a toll and you really haven't. I mean, you can practice all you want until you get game reps. It's a completely different story because the adrenaline flow going in and out during the course of the round really makes a difference.
But he wasn't finishing 35th or anything. He was finishing up there. So I say kudos to him.
Well, mission accomplished. Once again, we managed to remember what Senior Moment was going to be about.
That was close.
Now we're going to move on to Once Upon a Time, and this is from a guest, and I'm probably breaking some kind of law, but John Garrity, longtime SI sports writer, sent me an email regarding the passing of basketball great Bill Russell, and this is what John said about Bill Russell. Okay, it's 1970, and I'm researching a sport magazine feature on Dave Collins at Red Auerbach's basketball camp on Cape Cod. Russell is horsing around with his teenage son in one of the outdoor courts at the camp. He's looking over his shoulder at the camp kids who are scrimmaging under the harsh guidance of college and high school coaches. The coaches, thinking Auerbach will be impressed by their shouting and bullying, have reduced a couple of kids to tears. After a few minutes, the session breaks up and everyone starts to scatter. But not Russell. He walks over to the two most miserable kids and starts giving them rebounding tips, providing nothing but encouragement and warming them up with that delightful laugh of his. It took only 5 minutes for him to turn the most miserable hour of their lives into the most memorable. For that and other reasons, I've always considered Bill Russell to be among the 5 most impressive individuals I've met as a journalist. And parenthesis, he says, not that I rank you guys. So, I mean, even when John Garrity, we should have him on the show. Even when John Garrity sends an email, it's good writing.
Yep.
Yeah, some people can't write an email or even a text in 144 characters, and Garrity can do more with 144 characters than most people can do with a couple pages.
He's great. He's never written a really bad story. Just kind of bad. No, I'm kidding.
Or told a bad story. He's been part of some really good stories.
Yeah.
Our Dairy Queen story in Arizona someday will have to be told because that was priceless.
We don't remember. We went to a Dairy Queen and we don't remember where it was because it was out on the west side.
We went to a Dairy Queen. It was one of the best Dairy Queens we'd ever been to. We went to this Dairy Queen early in the week, like Sunday, because Darla was with us, my wife, and we went to this Dairy Queen, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. I mean, it was like you're like, wow, this is like the mecca of all Dairy Queens. Then Darla went home on Monday. We played the rest of the week. On Wednesday, we decided to try to find it again. And if you put in your phone Dairy Queen in Arizona, there's like 1,000. We didn't find it. We found one that was run by, I don't know, 2 convicts in an area of town where...
Wasn't there like an air conditioner hanging really low?
Yes.
You could hit your head on?
The sandwich board that had all of the things on it, the guy walked out and hit his head twice on it, walking out and then turning around and going back to get a dilly bar. And we were like, we're going to die here. And I was crying, laughing because Garrity's like, we're going to die here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we are, but this is going to be a great story.
I would call that story scrumptious, which is one of the worst marketing phrases ever.
Except you remembered it.
Except I remember it. So
the LIV tour is scrumptious. That's what they should use now.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's it's time for the big quiz.
There's a quiz?
Yeah.
For Chuck Garbedian, you get 4 questions. If you answer all 4 correctly,
yes,
you will be enshrined in the Big Quiz Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
If you don't answer any of them correctly, you will be enshrined in the Big Quiz Hall of Shame. So far, neither of those things have happened with previous guests.
Okay.
So here we go.
All right.
What NBC series ran for 5 seasons and was about a computer geek turned spy after he downloaded key government secrets into his brain? And here's a hint. The show's catchphrase was, "No more Mr. Nice Spy." What was the name of that show?
I'm going to say The West Wing.
No, it was called Chuck.
Huh, no kidding.
What a coincidence.
It is. That was very good.
Okay. What name from the Bible's Old Testament means son of the right hand? Hint, it was also the name of the youngest of Jacob's 12 sons.
I'll say Charles.
No, Benjamin.
Darn, I was so close.
What's your son's name, Chuck?
Benjamin.
Oh, what a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Who would have thought that?
I wouldn't have.
No, nobody.
You know how we named Benjamin? This is how we named Benjamin. We were driving to the hospital. We had girls' names picked out. We had no boys' names picked out. And Darla said to me, "How about Ben?" And I went, "No, I'm no." She goes, "How about Benjamin Charles?" And I went, "Oh, I like that." And so that's how he became Benjamin Charles.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to name our son Zeus, but that got voted down.
I can't understand why.
I don't know. I've forgotten. I apologize. I've forgotten the most important part of the quiz. When you get a question wrong, you hear the buzzer. So here's the first. For not getting Chuck, you get
Okay.
And Benjamin.
Nice.
Okay, it's very professional.
That is extremely professional.
Special effects here that we spent a lot of money
on.
I
like that.
Okay, I think okay. Well, you're 0 for 2.
Yeah.
Here we go. In what city was college football's first legal forward pass thrown in 1906?
Madison, Wisconsin.
I'm sorry.
So close.
Waukesha.
With the Carroll Pioneers?
Chuck, where do you live?
Waukesha.
Oh, yeah. About that. Yeah. Carroll College was playing St. Louis University, and Bradbury Robinson with their quarterback just threw the ball forward and shocked everybody, and St. Louis won that game 22-0.
It's Carroll University now. They changed the name, and they're called the Pioneers.
University now. they're not fooling anybody.
Nope.
They're still just a college.
It is.
All right, it's your last chance.
Oh, man.
I think you'll get this one, though.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
What do PGA Tour players Brian Harman, Bill Weeden, and Yusaku Miyazato have in common?
That they use every vowel and consonant in the alphabet to spell their names.
You want to try again?
That they're all 5'7".
Let me. I should have. You also have something in common with those three guys.
They've made 2 holes in one in a round.
Ding, ding.
Ding.
That's
Yes.
the correct answer.
I have made 2 holes in one in a
round. The only players
round.
in PGA Tour history to make 2 hole-in-ones in one round.
Hard to do.
67 million to 1 are the odds in that, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's something ridiculous like that. That's what I was told. I used the same club and the same ball for both of them. And didn't take the ball out until the 17th hole when somebody begged me to take it out of play because they were afraid I was going to lose it.
Where's that ball now?
Behind me in the cabinet here somewhere.
Where's that club now?
In your bag.
That's in my golf bag.
That's in your golf bag because that's how sentimental I am about stuff. Is I don't keep. It's like I sold you the set irons. It's good. So that have you made a hole in one with that 6 iron yet?
No, I haven't made a hole in one in 20
try
years.
harder. Yeah, you got to try harder.
Well, the big quiz, you avoided the Hall of Shame. Congratulations. I thought you could have gone 4 for 4, though. It wouldn't have been that hard.
No, it wouldn't have been. I didn't,
All
but
right.
it was, it's performance anxiety. What can you do?
Now it's time for the big finale we
Yes.
call I Predict.
Okay.
We each make predictions of some kind. Kathy, what do you predict? What do you have for last week? You were totally unprepared. What do you have for I Predict?
Well, you say I was unprepared last week, but we still haven't had very much rain in Florida. West Palm Beach has had a real drought, and so has Ponte Vedra. But I predict Cameron Young, the other Cameron, is going to finish very high up at the end of the day in the FedEx Cup standings. I don't know if he's going to win the Tour Championship, but I say top 5.
Okay. Charles Garbedian.
I predict that the Dairy Queen Tropical Blizzard will make a momentous return featuring banana, pineapple, and everyone's favorite coconut as Dairy Queen tries to, again, take over the market in worldwide ice cream sales.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You heard it here first.
We got Cameron Young and a Dairy Queen prediction.
No, not just a Dairy Queen prediction. The Tropical Blizzard. Do not diminish the Tropical Blizzard.
They really should bring that back.
Yes, it's delicious. It's the best ever.
I don't really have a prediction, but I'm going to say that Phil Mickelson is going to turn his game around the next time the LIV Tour gets together, and he's going to finish top 5.
Ooh, that's a prediction.
Mine has a better chance of happening than yours ever does. That's never going to happen.
I think Dustin Johnson's team has won that. Haven't they won the? I think they've won the team thing all 3 times.
Here's how important LIV is. You don't know. You just don't know. It's like I think they might have could have. I think they might be wearing 2 left-footed shoes. I'm not really sure. Let me check. There's no way of knowing any of this stuff because no one really is paying attention and no one cares.
I was looking for their money list. I couldn't find any.
No, you can't. You can't find the money list. Nope, can't find it.
Money list.
Nope, there's no money list. What money list? They've already given it all out. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Would you take it if they gave it to you?
Yes.
Anyone would, pretty much. Anyone who's saying they, it's easy to say I wouldn't take the money if they offered you $10 million, but if they actually did offer you, you're taking them. In our
what do you think? What do you just out of curiosity? What do you think? What do you think they offered Faraday?
Oh, I have no idea.
And how many years?
We're not going to know that.
You're going to figure it's like 4 years. So it's 4 years. What? 60 million over 4 years? 15 a year?
Yeah, 10 or 15 million a year.
12 a year, whatever that is. I mean, it would, if you're Faraday and you're 60 something years old, or you're McCord and you're 70 something years old, it's calling golf, and really it doesn't affect your legacy as much as it affects Dustin Johnson's or Bubba Watson's or Henrik Stenson's. You're calling golf, and that's kind of what you do. You're just going to a different place to call it. It was the same thing like when Fox came in and was doing the U.S. Open. It's Fox doing it instead of NBC or CBS or whatever. It's the same platform. It's just in a different place. It doesn't affect those people's legacies as much, I don't think.
It's funny how nobody criticized any of the broadcasters for jumping. but the players got all the criticism, partly because they
Well,
were throwing out this growing the game.
Right.
I want to play less. And, it's about the money. That's okay.
Just say that. If you say it's about the money, nobody has a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's
Gary,
it for this week's Golf Show
yeah.
2.0. Kathy, send us out of here.
I will. Chuck, thanks very much for joining us. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we catch up someplace down the road.
Looking forward to it. Have a great day.
I will. Bye-bye.